How are you? My name is Ilya Aristotle Davis. I'm the founder of the Young Economics Awareness Program. And the Young Economics Awareness Program is a program about nonprofit cooperative economics in low-income areas. And to explain it real quick, we found out that convenience stores in low-income areas, they're averaging $1 million a year. And in these low-income areas that I'm referring to, Creighton Court, Brooklyn Court, Fairfield Court, Gilpin Court, as well as 25th Street and some areas over South Side that we haven't got to as of yet. The thing that we want to be able to do is to compete with those convenience stores, because a lot of times they're clustered 4 and 5 of them. And if the estimated gross revenue for those convenience stores are $1 million each, we're not talking about just an idea to be able to generate $2, $3, $4 million a year. But this is a self-sustaining economic idea. And the principle behind what we're doing is stop the killing here in Richmond, Virginia. The Young Economics Awareness Program, in the last 3 weeks, we've been in Gilpin Court, we've been in Creighton Court, we've been in Brooklyn Court as well as 25th Street for the last 3 weeks. Distributing waters is one of the things that we do. We go in those areas as well as the bus depot, and we distribute waters. And as soon as they start drinking those waters, I let them know I'm not a pastor. I don't aspire to be one. I'm not a politician. I don't aspire to be one. But this program indicates that those convenience stores are making a minimum of $1 million a year. And immediately those individuals and young people, their parents, they're excited about it. They have hope of community cooperative economics in their area, to be able to compete with those convenience stores that's there, and also be able to offer the type of revenue, the self-sustaining revenue that we're just talking about one-time finance. That's what I've been involved with a couple of cooperative, or nonprofit organizations, and I've always had the heart that it has to be some type of way where we can be able to put some type of self-sustaining economic idea, so it don't be a thing where every year we're asking for grants, subsidies, different things of that nature, because a lot of times that puts you under the control of those that are giving those monies every year. So that's the basis of a Young Economics Awareness Program, but understand that this is actually a $1 trillion concept. And I'm going to tell you why after I talk about it. I'm just going to put this here. And if I was you, see, this program is for grassroots, actually. Young people, that's why it's called Young Economics Awareness Program. Because the main individuals that we're after relative to being able to exact change and stop the killing in those areas for the little bit of money that they're hustling to try to get, as opposed to this $1 trillion concept that we talk to them about. We start with the competing with them, with the community cooperative market, with the convenience stores. But again, when it comes to the beauty supply, we spend 8 times more than any other nationality on beauty supply products. But we don't have one beauty supply store. The same thing when I talk to them about fish markets and the rotten food that they're selling us over there at Community Pride, where I grew up at. I grew up in Brooklyn Court. The rotten food, and I talk to them about a community cooperative fish market where we'll be able to bring in fresh fish, and they're excited about the idea. They have hope. I see the hope and the awe in their eyes when I talk to them in these low-income areas. And understand, I'm not like those politicians, whether it's the city council, the mayor, a lot of the preachers that's been involved in shepherding our people for the last 30, 40, or 50 years. There's not many of people that are in Brooklyn Court, Creighton Court, Gilpin Court, 25th Street on a daily basis trying to reach those young people. And I let them know that the only other program of this magnitude, any other substantive or large program that's out there relative to changing the way that young people feel about themselves in those low-income areas, and the murder and the robbery and the drug selling that's going on, that the only other program is incarceration. gonna say that again because I would like because this program is for those that are suffering. So if you would, because I'm gonna be on here for about another 55 minutes, I want you to call your nephews, your grandson, those that don't have a GED. If they can, I know a lot of people don't have cable to be able to get this, especially those that I'm trying to reach. Even so, I want to reach out to those that, by God's grace, I pray that I'm able to guide and lead to some degree if they desire. I want you to call those that might have drug issues, drug problems, whether it's alcohol or even any other type of narcotic. Call those that are unemployed, that are convicted felons, and call them and tell them to listen to this program for a minute. Or if you would, you can just take a couple of notes because, I was thinking earlier is that, when it comes to this issue right here, we want to, I'm just going to say pin the tail, and I'm going to leave it there. How did this happen? I'm going to say, pin the tail on. I'm going to put it on. Something's going to get a tail put on today relative to this issue right here, stop the killing. Because I want to know how we got there. And the reason why and there's a couple of things that I want to say coming up to this, is that really it was thundering and lightning outside. I was kind of reluctant to come today. I kind of was looking for some type of excuse. And I talked to my mother about it. I was like, did I sign up for this? But then the thing that really got me up and said, no, you got to move, is that I thought about the bus depot, the 9th Street bus depot. And I've been involved I've given out over 1,000 bottles of free bottles of cold water down at that bus depot. I've been down there, and one of the things that we're saying, and I'm going to bring it close enough, so hopefully everybody can be able to see. Hopefully they just get 2 top pieces of that. And this is what we've been asking, is who cares about the 9th Street bus depot? I can be reached on Facebook at Ilya Davis, ILLYA Davis, because this is one of the big issues that we're dealing with. And we have a picture of Rosa Parks in 1944 with all that she had to deal with. And the reason why I have her on this poster, because, she's at rest now, but I know that if she was here in Richmond, Virginia, and had to catch the bus today, had to go down to that 9th Street bus depot, and she went through this in 1944, and this is 2014, I know that she will be appalled about this mayor, this city council, and all of those that are not even, isn't even an issue for them. So my issue is that Mayor Dwight C. Jones and the Richmond City Council doesn't care about the horrible conditions that exist at the 9th Street GRT bus depot. So when I thought about not coming, and I thought about how those individuals, and I've been down there, where grandmothers, these are Christians, Muslims, and Jewish, of all faiths, but I've seen grandmothers, people with disabilities, people with health issues, little babies in the strollers that they're pushing. They have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 buses emptying out at one time, but then you just have 10 or 20 seats with no type of shelter to accommodate the amount of people that come down there. So I put it on my Facebook page, just same statement, and somebody said that it was an unfair statement, and I hit them right back. I said it's not an unfair statement, because that's the reason why I use the word care. Who cares? That's why I use that word, because I believe that caring is an anticipation of one's needs. That when you care, the individual don't have to ask you if they're hungry or whether you should pick up the paper on the floor and it's just 2 people in the house. When you care, you anticipate the needs and you suffice them. When you don't care, you don't anticipate the needs and nothing is suffice. So I hit back on my Facebook page under ILLYA Davis. I said, I explained the definition. I said, caring is an anticipation of one's needs. And I cannot believe that in the planning of them moving the bus depot off of Broad Street over to the 9th Street, that nobody cared enough to anticipate that there's going to need to be some type of some cold water, some type of water fountain, some type of misting station, plenty to be able to accommodate the amount of people, shelter, seating. So again, it's clear that the mayor and the city council and all those that have been involved, that they don't care about the people that are suffering. These are white, black, brown. This is not, I gotta always say this, this is not a white, black, brown program. This is an American idea. And I'm gonna tell you why, another reason why I came out today, because this information has to get out there. And the reason why I say that this is an American idea is because white people and people of other nationalities, African, whatever the nationality may be, for the last 20, 30, 40 years, this issue right here, which has been increasing since this year. Listen, this is why and that's why I'm standing up, but this is nothing to sit down about. That between 1981 and today, we've lost 278,000 African Americans to murder. 94% of them is one African American killing another African American. 278,000 since 1981. And that year is a significant year, but I'm not going to talk about that. Even so, when it comes to not only that, and let me give you some other variables, and I go back to we pin the tail, is that, listen, 1 out of 2 African American males with degrees one out of 2. Now, if this isn't a variable to consider, and I don't know, I mean, because I'm doing plain math, 1 out of 2 African American males with degrees are unemployed. 1 out of 2 African American males by age 23 are being arrested in 2014. If those two, I'm gonna put are being arrested so I can be able to. And this is being said by Richmond Times-Dispatch. See, most of the things that I say while I'm talking, you can Google it and find out if it's true. Because I mentioned about C.T. Woody and the program at Trinity Baptist Church, where they give away school supplies at the jail. And I bring up the issue. Why at the jail? What are you seasoning our young people for? If this is true, 1 out of 2 are being arrested by age 23. And you have those young people going down to the city jail to pick up their school supplies and backpacks. And if you see, and that's one of the things that me having a plumbing company that I have to deal with when I go to Blessings for You daycare, a beautiful place to be for young people to grow and develop, as well as New Directions daycare. When I go there and I see, I'm telling you, it hurts my heart when I see a line of 15, 20, 30 young African male boys knowing these statistics. And that's the thing. See, I've been talking about these statistics since January. And we are people that it's a term that's called catatonic. That's when you need some type of outside stimuli or something from the outside. You're reactionary. That something bad has to happen. Then we become enthused about it. But no soon as things die down, we're right back to the same thing again. Where these issues aren't even important. But I think that there's, relative to Caucasian people, this is the other thing. This program is about Caucasian people and other nationalities really understanding the reason why we suffer, why our young people suffer in those areas, why the incarceration rate is so high. This is the real reason. If 1 out of 2 African American males with degrees are unemployed, I mean, how can we put so much pressure on those that are the least of us to be able to find a job? It should be a thing where you, with your degree, find a job first. And then maybe we can be able to create a job or be able to inspire those at the bottom. But how much harder is it for somebody without a degree if you can't find a job? And it's not alarming to us as African Americans that 1 out of 2 of us. That's not an alarming situation where we've created some type of institution or some type of committee to work on those issues. The 1 out of 2 that's being arrested. I don't have biological children. I have a daughter that's of my heart, Chablis Clark, but I don't have biological children. And if this is true in 2014, what is it going to be in 2024? If this isn't an issue for us to be able to establish some type of institution to work on a daily basis to turn this around and turn that around. Understand that this isn't anything, neither of these are things that we can do on a once a year. Let the young people speak at Trinity Church once a year. I mean, that's like me having my plumbing company. Me saying that I'm going to do plumbing once a year and then look at my bottom line and wonder why it doesn't get anywhere. Even so, the most educated of us, the most powerful of us, they don't create 501c3 organizations. Got to be said. These are all of the problems. Why we've gotten to there. They don't create the African Americans. They don't create large size, 501c3s. Most of the 501c3s are being created by the least of us, small 501c3s. The most educated when it comes to African Americans, they create 501c7s. Social clubs for the benefit of its members. So getting back to, we're going to get this out of the way real quick, pen and tail. And we're going to take calls too, the second half, you can call in. Is that this item right here, we're going to pin and tail, and we're going to go from stopping killing to the $1 trillion concept. And the reason why I say that it is a $1 trillion concept is because African Americans, we are people that spend actually $1.2 trillion every year, and it circulates our community less than 0.1 times. We are people that spend $1.2 trillion every year, and it circulates our community less than 0.1 times. What does that tell us? That we are people that are consumers and employees, mostly or generally only. So tie this back in to the 1 out of 2 African American males with degrees that are unemployed. Guess what? Guess why they're unemployed? It's because we are people that spend $1.2 trillion every year, and it circulates our community less than 0.1 time because we're consumers and employees only. So, I mean, that indicates that the most educated and powerful of us aren't involved in business, economic, and commerce. If we're spending $1 trillion, that's not the least of us spending that amount. So, I mean, the problem lies in this. This is where this comes from. We just celebrated the 50-year anniversary of the signing of the Civil Rights Bill. We just celebrated that of 1964. But in the same article it states, and I think that they're being conservative, so I don't know what, because they're saying in the article that African Americans since then, the signing of the voting and the civil rights, they said in the same article, a lot of times we don't read these times the splash art. But I know other races of people, and when they read them, I know because that's been one of my studies is to be able to take myself as an African American out of the situation and look at it from another nationality of people's perspective. And knowing that they follow, they read the newspaper. And I know that if I was another nationality of people and I saw all of this, even the ones with degrees, the ones without degrees, and they're being arrested by age, and I will hear about no programs is going on to deter these. I mean, it's like it's okay. But put myself in another people's point of view, then I wonder what type of people are these that spend $1.2 trillion every year and it circulates less than 0.1 time. The Latinos, with the little amount of time that they've been here, their money circulates 5 times. The Asians 8. The Caucasians they cannot count how many times it circulates. But I'm here to say that by us being, number one is us being a people that are consumers and employees only, we could never be respected as a people. Every dime that we get, we spend it. I mean, I remember in high school, I remember studying economics and about import and export in high school. How important it was to balance, that we don't want to import more than we export because it affects our bottom line. But understand, we are people that import everything. God forbid, it's lightning and stuff out there that if some type of catastrophe happens, the Latinos have markets that they can go knock the door and say, hold up, it might be a couple of weeks. These are provisions that we're going to put aside. We can't get mad at them. Other people can go lock. After everything is going in Walmart, but we are people that don't have grocery stores. You can ride in the north side, south side, east end, and west end, look to your left, look to your right, look at all the nice buildings, all the nice ball fields. African Americans don't have possession of any of them. We're mainly consumers and employees only. So, what has happened in the last 50 years? It's clearly stated. And it says 60%, but this being true, Google that to see if this is true. That being true, the number is way more than 60%. And I've talked to older people just before I was born. I'm just after the baby boom, just after that. But I remember, I've talked to individuals relative to just before I was born in 65, that in the 50s, the 60s, that we had plenty of restaurants, motels, hotels, Maggie Walker Bank. And then we got to go back and beg the city council to honor her and build a statue for her. But, the same thing with insurance companies. Ralph Samuels, we systematically, from 1964 up until I think that this year has a lot to do with it right here. And within those 16 or 17 years, whatever it is in there, that within that time period, we allowed all of our community enterprises to fail. Malcolm, Martin, and Marcus Garvey said the same thing. That if we're not involved in business, Martin Luther King said the dream wasn't just about what he saw. He talked about, I posted on my Facebook page, he talked about even back in 1964 that we had a $60 billion amount of money that we were spending, and he was likening that to gross national products of other countries. And talk about how important it was for us to start supporting one another. So, and that's the reason why I said to bring the young people. These affluent individuals, these educated individuals, I've been involved with them. I've been involved, and I found out that the top-down approach, that they don't really have a concern. They hear these. They're more intelligent than I. They hear about these issues. They talk about them once a week, once every. But there's no organizations being formed to combat this. There's a degradation that's going on, and we're walking around like It's not even, I mean, so the thing is this, back to the young people that I have a heart for, in Wilkham Court, Creighton Court, Hillside Court, Fairfield Court, 25th Street, especially the homeless soldiers is over there on 25th Street. Y'all much respect.